passion is such a huge driving force for community service. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't initially have because they're motivated by incentives like hours or money or that's like status or like doing it for college recommendations, things like that. But really having that passion to help others, I think, is really what inspires middle and high school age kids to continuously and consistently volunteer. And we
It's not that kids need to get motivated as if there's a lack of motivation, because this generation is very passionate and driven. You said it perfectly. It is all about passion. Kids uh, kids these days want to change the world. The problem is they just don't know how to address it and to take action.
I think a big part of that, really, along with passion, is empathy. And I think that, especially among younger generations and especially during COVID times, when I started this organization, I really didn't expect to get many volunteers. And the reason was because, I was hearing news about teens in Florida who were ignoring the stay at home order, teens in California who were licking groceries. And so I thought, maybe teens weren't interested in volunteering during the COVID pandemic. And luckily, I was wrong. And I was really, really wrong, because what I saw was people from across the country who I didn't even know, who just read about Teens Helping Seniors, reach out to us and say, hey, we're interested in starting an organization. We've seen a need and we want to help those in our community. And that really kind of shook me, because it shows that younger generations still have that same empathy. They're willing to help people who they might not even know, who are in a much worse situation than them, who potentially 60, 70 years older than them, might not share any of their values. They're willing to help those people out. And I think personally that empathy is the most powerful motivator. And as you volunteer, it's just a positive feedback loop. The more you volunteer, the more you're interested in helping others, the more you're able to empathize, and it just goes from there.
That the biggest problem I had when I was starting out at 7 was, can I even make a difference? Because you see the magnitude of this problem. And as it turns out, yes, even if you're a kid, you can make a huge and positive difference in your community.
They have this energy that can't be matched, where they want to tear through as many jobs as they can and get as much work done.
I have yet to meet in my career a teen who is apathetic or who really doesn't care about helping people. What I really find is the more common reason is that either they don't know about the cause or they don't know the extent of the cause. And so I think a big part of that is, telling people that this is definitely a need, even if they don't see it in their everyday lives. There are people who are suffering. In our case, with Teens Helping Seniors, a lot of the people who signed up to volunteer for our organization had a loved one that was in a vulnerable age group for the COVID coronavirus. And I think part of that is letting teens know that there is definitely a need out there, that there are people in their community that are suffering. And that's why I think it's important to have, one-on-one connections with between teens and the people who are directly benefiting from the service.
I don't think I don't think most kids in general are apathetic. They see problems and they want to help out with it. It's just that they need that push and that encouragement, and they need to be more and better informed about what they can do. It's Kids just don't know that they can make a difference until they actually do. And that's why I encourage people to try and get involved with community service and nonprofit and volunteerism, because you discover the passion that you have for it and how you can help others. And I don't think it has anything to do with apathy. I think kids in general are driven and want to help others.
And I think a lot of people may be apathetic towards volunteering or giving back because they've never done it before. Like they've never had that experience yet, or maybe they haven't had the opportunity to have that experience. And I think, once you give back or serve for the first time, you get this feeling that you're doing something that's bigger than yourself. You're impacting somebody, you're helping somebody. And that feeling is honestly unparalleled. And once you do that for the first time, it kind of opens your eyes to those causes, like Dhruv was saying, that you may not even know exist in your community, or the extent of which it exists in your community. So it kind of opens your eyes. And again, through giving back, I've met so many people and so many friends. So that can be another incentive to giving back, is you can meet all these new people from around the world, who are ultimately having that same dedication of helping people alongside you. And that sort of creates this community of volunteerism, which I think is really special, that a lot of people are not aware of that. So once they become aware of that, it becomes kind of like second nature after that first initial exposure to it.
Once you have that initial interest, it's not really hard to get people like engaged. Once they start, then you'll have them hooked. But I think the hard part is sometimes getting people hooked. So that's why people are saying that kids are not apathetic, but it's like, how do you get them initially excited and wanting to do this work, and then sustaining them? And I think it's like having that community. And
When I was 7, there was an age limit on our food bank for when we could volunteer, and fighting through those barriers and trying to break through them, going through whatever obstacles you may have to get through so that you can volunteer and give this opportunity to the kids, is really like, that is what volunteering is about: breaking through barriers and trying to find the good and spread that throughout your community.